What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 201 of the Taste Cast, a weekly podcast where we talk about all things gaming. My name's Seth, and joining me today is Chevy, of course. Chevy, hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you're excited to have this conversation about all the games that we'll be talking about, but also reacting to. We got 3 videos to watch in this episode, and yeah, how you doing?
Doing pretty good. Wasn't 100% sure until we started filming what I was walking into, because we have so much to do this week. So
yeah, quick reminder, we got Plus Club Game of the Month, and then I think Thursday there's a pretty big state of play happening.
Is that Thursday or Wednesday?
Wednesday. We'll have to check, but it's a big one.
Yeah. So busy week, but otherwise pretty good. Yourself?
I'm good. It's technically the 31st as of right now, so that makes me 37.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. Still feel pretty good, pretty young, so 37's not feeling too bad so far, but it's weird to think that I am that age. But yeah, doing good though. Excited to do a taste cast. It's been a little bit, and I've been on vacation, so I've just been playing a lot, but we'll talk about that once we talk about what we've been playing. But yeah, I'm ready to get this going. I've played a lot of games. I have a lot of things to talk about. So with that, let's jump into what we've been playing. Okay. Where we talk about the games we've been playing. Chevy, do you want to start us off with what you've been playing?
Sure. I have played a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, of Palworld.
Oh, they meant in general.
Well, I mean that's also kind of true. Started a server, have a couple people playing on it at this point, though I have not spent a lot of time on it, and to the point where I'm kind of thinking of, I started a guild with a couple of them. I'm thinking about kind of leaving it to go make my own again, to experience the progression of the game, because I have a feeling when I hop in, everything's gonna be done.
Oh, probably.
So we'll see. But the game's a lot of fun. I think it's interesting that not to draw too many comparisons to the obvious, but I think it's offering a lot of things, and not necessarily in like a crazy like AAA polished way, but a lot of things that people were hoping for from its inspiration, because the last few iterations of that series have been weird, I'll just say.
Underwhelming.
Yeah. And so it's nice to play a monster collection game that definitely seems to be prioritizing just like fun and like you wanting to be able to play it and whatever, but also just also not skimping on the world aspect of it as well, because that's a kind of a big part of my complaints, at least with the other franchise.
Well, it offers something. People really like to talk about the Pokemon aspect because it makes sense. Of course, it's got monsters. You can compare it to, the game that inspired it for sure, but it's also heavily Arc.
Oh yeah.
And so when people compare the two, like, yeah, we can talk about the pals and the Pokemon all day, but this also offers something that Pokemon will never offer. Pokemon's never going to be Arc. So it's been interesting to kind of hear the conversation around, Pokemon's kind of not doing as well as people want in terms of like gameplay and becoming modern and
sales wise
being
fine,
sure, but being like, but reception wise, all I see is people going like, I remember when people were making the comparison of, this game looks like this game's ripping off this game, whatever. Someone posted a picture of Palworld next to the last Pokemon that came out, and Pokemon was just like this flat, like low texture field with like nothing in it, with a really bad looking character. And he's like, yeah, this game totally ripped this game off.
Yeah.
And Palworld looks better. So it really seems to be offering something that there's a demand for, at least, a more modern take on Pokemon, with also adding Arc gameplay elements, sandbox exploration, in an Arc way, and guns, which, you can say Pokemon with guns all day, but it's adding something there that's also, it's just more gameplay. Like, there's a lot of gameplay to be had with this game.
There's definitely more of the Arc element anyway, so because you get guns in Arc as well. So.
Sure.
You just don't give them to your pets usually.
Yep. But with all that, like, this game really caters to a lot of different people, because like I've also been playing Palworld, but I only have like 9 hours in the game. I probably played less than anybody I know. And it's because I'm not a big. I like Pokemon. Don't love it anymore, and I'm not a big pet guy in games. And collecting pets and take care of them is a huge aspect of the game. But also, there's other elements like Ark that I am a huge fan of. That will keep me playing it. So even with people who would never play a game like Ark, well, now they're playing a game like Ark because it's giving them that Pokemon experience that they want. So I think that's one of the reasons why it's sold so well, outside of the verbal hype of it.
Well, yeah,
Is
it's
that
introducing people to survival game elements, which
and it's a survival light. It's not like a
yeah.
hardcore
Well,
one.
and anyone who plays survival games will tell you how addictive it is. So
Yeah, sure. Like it was
So,
catering to me in that regard because
yeah.
I'm getting XP from cutting trees down and stuff. So yeah, it has a huge net. It's casting, but when it comes to where it might be doing better than Pokemon, you can have that conversation, but it's also doing more than I think Pokemon ever will. Just because of how just broad they were with their brush when it came to what kind of game they're trying to make, which they even said they just want to make a game people wanted to play, basically. So there is no design there of going like, we have this like great idea, this world we're trying to craft. It's just like people like Pokemon, people like Ark, people like shooting stuff, people like leveling up and stuff like that. People obviously like Craftopia, which we made before. So like we're gonna put those kind of systems in place here. Like it's just a really interesting amalgamation of a lot of genres that seem to work really well, while also having a visual style and charm that I think even if you think the game's goofy looking, it's still funny. Like I saw a bunch of people posting videos of people loading their pals into bazookas and shooting them like missiles.
Yeah, penguins,
yeah. And a bunch of people really like into that. So
yeah, well, because the game's not taking stuff like crazy serious. Like it's really goofy. The other thing too that's kind of worth noting is this game's technically not out yet. It's in early access.
Yeah.
So
and depending on how Nintendo's investigation goes, it's probably a good thing because if they have to make any changes, it's the right time to be doing it.
Yeah, we'll see about that for
I'm
sure.
very curious to see what happens with that because I'm not that compelled by a lot of the comparisons people are bringing up.
Well, no, the one that was even remotely compelling was fake. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting.
Even though some of them are obviously heavily
for sure,
heavily inspired by other Pokemon, there's so many things that they changed. Even if they blatantly looked at their design and they're like, we need, because there's their Mewtwo type got leaked. That's not in the game yet, but it looks like Mewtwo or one of the new Mewtwo's. I don't know what the fuck it's called, but it's a very similar design. I mean, if you shadowed them out, they would both look like Mewtwo basically. But when you look at their actual design, if you break it down, it's like when people look at people's faces and they're like, oh, they look the same. It's like, well, that guy's nose is completely different than that guy's nose. They can't look the same. You're just thinking they look similar from one thing. Same thing here. Like you look at their head, they're like, their eyes are different. That guy's got horns. That guy doesn't have horns. This dude has a nose. That dude doesn't have a nose. That guy has mech legs. That guy doesn't have mech legs. Like even if you can't respect that they might have went through and meticulously changed small things so they can't get in trouble, you can't make the claim that they are the same because somebody went out of their way to make sure that they weren't. Even if they did copy it, they were self-aware enough to go, we got to change it enough so we can't get sued.
Yeah. Well, not anymore, obviously, but the starting budget was $10,000. So, I think
To make the game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I don't think they'll have to worry about that part.
No. The sales on this game is crazy.
It is. It's like lightning in a bottle for sure. But I think the biggest factor is that because it kind of does everything, it's able to get people in, but then they're being introduced to things that maybe they weren't ever going to be interested in. Like we kind of said, I think the big one's going to be the pet gathering aspect is probably the most common one people are going to know. And they're going to get in there and they're going to get a little taste of survival games. They're going to get a little taste of doing like dungeons and stuff like that in games and like crafting and automation. And those are a lot of systems that people find addictive when they play those type of games. And then they're getting a light version of that because the pals help you do a lot of that stuff too. So
it's also a $30 game.
It's $27 game.
Yeah. So not only does it offer a lot that I think you could easily charge more for content wise, but it's not an expensive game and you get a lot from it. So
No, and I love the it's obviously a knock at AAA, but you see all these comparisons of like all these $70 games that come out and they're like, 6 to 8 hours long and they have problems, and then there's just $30 Palworld and people are living in it. So
yeah, I saw a meme that almost insulted me at first, but I was like, no, you're right. It was that I think it's from Predator where Arnold Schwarzenegger and what's his face are like, how the hell you doing, you old son of a bitch? And they do like the fucking muscle thing.
Oh, yeah.
But one said Baldur's Gate 3, the other one said Palworld, and it said showing AAA how to make games.
I mean,
and I was like, it's hard for me to compare those two because obviously Baldur's Gate is a bigger game, but like Palworld's pretty fucking big for how like short, it hasn't been out for very long, and it's like doing AAA sales numbers.
It's dwarfing some AAA games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, when I saw it hit 8 million, I'm like, man, Square Enix got pissed at Tomb Raider because they only got 6 million sales and they wanted more.
Yeah.
So Palworld's just like flying past AAA numbers.
Yeah. A handful of people on a $10,000 budget just made millions. So
yeah,
it's crazy. But these are kind of stories that get talked about a lot anyways. I mean, with the same examples with like Stardew Valley and oh my god, my brain's not working right now. Anyways, small devs making big games that just blow, or making games that blow up because they just are reaching an audience that isn't being reached because, especially right now, not to get too into like money and stuff like that and how it's affecting everyone, but it's AAA companies are going to go back to making safe bets for a while.
Well, and like Suicide Squad just came out, and I haven't heard a single positive thing about it.
I haven't either. Yeah.
People have been tearing that game apart. They're really pissed off about it. And I saw that. I was like, man, this is like another huge AAA blunder that's kind of crazy to see. And then, people are playing Palworld, loving it. And then people did the same thing with Baldur's Gate. Like,
and returning to old games, which I'll mention here in a minute because I've been playing an older game. But, it's wild. I mean, it's literally 2008 all over again. The
feels like it.
The smaller games and are blowing up, and the AAA games don't want to spend any money right now, so they're making tons of layoffs, which sucks. For all those people involved.
Even when they are spending money, though, they're relying on fucking tired tropes that people have been complaining about for years. That's why Baldur's Gate was such a big deal, is because like you could and we're talking about Baldur's Gate soon, Baldur's Gate 3 for game of the month, so I don't want to say too much on it, but everybody knows it's great. But it just oozes with ambition. It just has so much like love and so much like, wouldn't it be cool if you did this and this happened, and they just did it. And Palworld's not that ambitious, but it's a lot of fucking game and a lot of systems for $30, and it's just fun. And that's what people want. When people spend money on a game, they just want to fucking have fun.
I was saying, most people buy entertainment to be entertained.
Sure. Yeah. So like if a game comes out and it's just like predatory systems that want you to spend more money, or like, it's preachy, or like, it's just like tired ass like gameplay loops that they expect you to keep playing because you bought the last 7 iterations of this game.
Well, even like, to use the finals as an example, right? Like, I like that game. I'm not talking shit about it, but its money practice is really bad in my opinion.
Yeah, I wanna make a video on it soon because I guess its players are dropping off. I'm not playing it right now, and I put like 80 hours into the game. I went through the whole season pass. I don't regret any of it. I think it's actually one of the most fun first-person shooters I've played in fucking years. Problem is they are putting a lot of work into things to sell you, and not a lot of work into things that you just get for playing the game. And I want all this stuff, but I'm not playing like shopping mall the game. I don't want to, every time I hop in the game, look for new things I have to buy with real money. That shouldn't be progression. It's just purchasing things. And I've already given them like $90, maybe $100, because I put the $40 I put into the day before into the finals when it came out, and then after that I've just been buying things as they've come out that I really want. But at this point I'm like, I kind of want to put a halt on that, because I don't want to keep giving you fucking money if you're not going to put any of this work you're putting into making sellable shit into the game itself. So I'm waiting to see how they do that. But it is a really good example of a great game that's being hurt by what I would argue is predatory practices.
Yeah. Well, and like one of the first things I noticed playing the game was 2/3 of the battle pass was premium and only a third of it was free. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of shitty. And then going to the store and everything's in forced bundles and you can't buy anything individually. So like you're forced to spend more and get a bunch of stuff that you just might not want just to get one item you might like in that pack. And it's just not a good practice. And I get it. They're trying to make money. Game making isn't a charity, but there's a mutual relationship to be had with the player / consumer.
Yep.
And I want my money to, be invested well and not feel like I'm being scammed or ripped off. I'm not saying they're scamming, but you know what I mean? They're definitely money hungry, which is unfortunate because, like I do think the game is fun. Versus, like, I can play Palworld for $27, and they haven't asked me for a damn thing.
Yeah, no, it's fucking crazy.
So, anyways, that rant over. I played a little bit of Palworld, but not enough to really know a lot about the game. I've beaten one of the tower bosses. It's the one most people have probably seen.
Yeah, I need to fight one. I think it's probably that one.
The two-tone hair girl. I can't remember her name, but anyways, I see. She's the one close to the beginner area. So, yeah. Let's see what else I've been playing. I played Plague Tale Requiem
on PlayStation Plus.
Talk about it.
We'll be talking about that soon.
I played the cartoony
Nobody Saves the World.
Nobody Saves the World and
Evil West,
and I can't talk about those, but I played those recently. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else before I get into the one I've actually been playing the most. I don't think there is. So I have been playing a lot, like since I started playing it. I've put 120 hours into it now of Monster Hunter World. I had to start over. I originally played on PlayStation years ago. Got about halfway through Iceborne and just kind of stopped for some reason. I'm now in this playthrough. I'm in the I only know the meme name for it now. The Guiding Lands, I think, is the actual name of it, which is the post game basically of Iceborne.
Grinding Lands.
Yeah, I know it as the Grinding Lands. So I just want to play it all the time. It is definitely scratching an itch for me right now. I think it's because it has a progression system similar to something you'd see in an MMO, and I'm not really playing an MMO right now. I have Final Fantasy 14 active because I have a free company I have to keep in a house I don't want to go up for sale under my feet. But I'm not playing it actively right now because I'm just kind of waiting for some more content to come out so I could just sit down and binge through it, essentially. So Monster Hunter is kind of scratching that itch. Plus it has, like, I said this every time I've played this game, but like the combat feels just so good in Monster Hunter, man. I can fight monsters over and over and over again, and just hours go by and I don't get bored. It's crazy. If you're interested in like what I'm playing as I'm using Hunting Horn is my main right now, which apparently is the least played weapon in the game. So go me. I enjoy it a lot because you get the big bonks like you do with a hammer, but you also get to buff the party. So you just don't get like combos and stuff that you get with other weapons. So, plus getting interrupted playing songs feels bad, but
I bet
it's part of it. So, the amount of content in that game is insane. Like, I can't believe how much time they put in that game. You want to talk about it's Capcom's on a roll anyways, but you want to talk about a game that's worth every penny? It's that game. I mean, I have over 100 hours into it, and I've only been playing for a couple weeks at this point, and I've just been nonstop playing it. So
Yeah, it's weird. Monster Hunter World almost seemed like there's probably something before it, but around that time is when Capcom got back into gear. And ever since then, I think like Resident Evil 3, you could say whatever about when it comes to the remake, but like other than that, Capcom has just been like you kind of said it, like it's just like fucking worth buying. Like you buy it and like it just feels like it was worth purchasing and you get hours of content out of it, hours of playtime. You're gonna have a blast. Like they've been doing a really good job with that. I barely played the dinosaur game. I forgot what it was called, but that was kind of fun, even though that felt like an experiment. But other than that, like yeah, between like Monster Hunter, Resident Evil, fucking Street Fighter, like Capcom has just been killing it for years now. That's why I'm really excited about the next Monster Hunters, and obviously that's the reason why a lot of people are just like playing World right now is because
And Capcom or the Monster Hunter Twitter page basically started this campaign called Return to World, and people listened, which is weird. Like it's like has such a healthy player base right now. It's crazy. So I can find people to join my missions or join their missions at any time of the day. I remember when the game came out, we work nights basically. So when I get home or when we get home, it's kind of dead on a lot of games. And Monster Hunter was like that too. Or I would just get to play with a bunch of Japanese people, which whatever, I don't have to communicate
I
with
always
them
played
anyway.
with Japanese people when I played it online.
The game's super full of people now, like insanely full, like in all sorts of different countries and languages and stuff. It's been fun, and you could tell like people play Monster Hunter are like definitely very community focused too, because you'll get in there and like everyone's just like there to do the job but also like help people. Like I get worried sometimes with games where it's like, you know, objective based. Like you use shooters as an example, people won't do the objectives, right? They all they want to do is kill. And in Monster Hunter, there's capture missions instead of kill. And I get worried that someone's just gonna be like, screw this, I'm just gonna beat the crap out of it. Now, obviously, they're not gonna get the rewards, but if you're high enough level, you don't care what the reward anymore. So, but the first thing, as soon as like I was in one a couple nights ago, the monster got real low, and they just started spamming an emote that basically was like, hey, the tail's back here. It's just like a picture of a monster with a tail in its mouth. So everyone didn't forget to carve real quick. And then they ran up and captured it real quick while everyone was carving. I was like, awesome, thanks. Like, so
yeah, it's a lot more communication than when the game first came out.
yeah, well, and playing on PC, you can just start typing, which is nice. So you can actually just get messages.
That would be a big difference.
Yeah. So you see a lot of GGs now, but yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it. I just want to play it all the time right now, which is kind of a problem, but I'm having fun, so I don't care. So
that's all that matters.
Yep. But that's been what I've been playing.
All right, simple enough. Games I can't talk about, but I have played is Baldur's Gate 3. We will be talking about that for our game of the month. That was my pick. And without talking about my opinions of the game, although I'm sure you can guess, I am in Act 2, finally. I will not beat the game by the time we film this, but I had a thing I had to kind of balance in my head, because sometimes when we do our review shows, I'm like, I should probably get as far into it as I can so I can talk about it better. And I've put plenty of hours into this game. I think I put like another 20 hours or something into it so far. But which is not a lot for this game, but a lot for me with all the games I'm playing. But I don't want to rush this game, so I'm really just savoring it. So I'm in Act 2. I'll give you that. But yeah, I've just been taking my time, and with every person that you talk to, there's so much dialogue and so many things that can change. The amount of conversations I've had now with people and the decisions I've been making that I made because I was like, I bet a lot of people don't do this. So I just want to see what happens. It's been interesting. So we'll talk about it. But I'm in Act 2, if you're curious. Go me, because I've been in Act 1 for a long time.
It's a large act, but
it's huge, yeah.
I mean, it's a game in itself.
Yeah, and I'm definitely still playing it. So yeah, been playing that. We played Evil West, so we'll talk about that very soon, like in a day. We also played Plague Tale. Well, we didn't play it together. We played Nobody Saves the World, which had a really interesting latency thing we'll talk about. And yeah, I've been playing Plague Tale Requiem, and I'm still playing it, so we'll be talking about that soon. Games I can talk about. I have returned to Yakuza Like a Dragon, because I never finished that game. And now that Infinite Wealth is out, and I'm hearing a lot of great things about it, except for Sega charging extra for New Game Plus, which is fucking wild.
That is wild, yeah.
The reviews are crazy because they're good and bad. Like, they're negative and positive, but they're all saying the same thing. The negatives are like, this is bullshit that they would even do this. And then people with the positive reviews are like, this game is great, but it is really scummy that they're doing this. I agree. But anyway, I really want to play it. But I can't until I beat the first game. So anyway, I've been playing it again. I think I'm on like chapter 10 or 11. There's 15 chapters in the game, I guess. So I'm getting there. But playing it again, I fucking love this game. The originally fucking Like a Dragon, like it's really good. So if the sequel that's now out is better, like, I'm gonna be really happy. So I really want to play that. I'm playing this and I'm enjoying it again. So it's just a very cinematic and dialogue heavy game. There are some really, really long cutscenes where people are talking forever, and it does have that. Not everything from Japan has this, but some things do, where they're very reiterative of everything. Like, they just keep going over the same thing over and over again. This game's very guilty of it. Just super repetitive of like, oh, that guy worked for this guy. He worked for that guy. Yeah, he worked for that guy for so long. I thought I could trust him. We all trusted him. I can't believe this. But he's been working for them this whole time. And I'm just like, okay, holy shit. So I don't know if it's actually like that in Japanese or if the English translation's like that. But yeah, the cutscenes can go for a long time.
Yeah.
But the gameplay's awesome. I fucking love that game. I can't wait to play the sequel once I beat this. Also have been playing Palworld. Not as much as everybody else, but I have played it. I got like 9-10 hours in it, and it's cool. I like it. I'm really happy to see. It's funny, way back when we were first reacting to this game, I was like, this game's either going to be the best game ever made or the worst. And obviously it's not the best game ever made, but it definitely leaned in a direction where people really like it a lot. And it's just been really interesting to watch that, because I was worried the game was going to come out and have like a day before scenario.
It's honestly baffling, to be honest.
Yeah, it's crazy. I'm not even like the biggest, like, I like it. I think it's a cool game, but like, I'm just like super like into its success. I think it's really interesting to watch.
Oh, I'm rooting for him 100%.
Yeah.
It's just what, was that word? It's like the best like 6 or 7 out of 10 game ever or something like that though.
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Because like, you know, it's not done and it's like a little bit of everything, but I don't think it like excels at any of those things either. I don't know. It's weird. It's a lot of fun, but
I just think it has a lot of like crack addictive style
for sure
components to it that like, if you get really immersed in it, you're going to play it a lot. But luckily I didn't let it get its fucking hooks in me. And I've only played a little bit, but yeah, I played on single player for a little bit, but I was like, this is gonna be a waste of time if I go and play on the server. So I hopped on the server, built a small little base. I got like, I don't know, like 20 pals or whatever, not a lot. And they're all doing their thing. I have not been on in a while, so I don't know if my shit's destroyed or if my pals are dead. I don't know what's going on there. But okay, good. I heard some horror stories of people saying like, you know, they come back and their town got attacked and shit got burnt down and stuff like that. So
that can happen. We've lost our base before. It got burnt down during a raid. Something I think they need to address. I might have to go on the server and change some stuff, but the raids are like way high level compared to the pals, and so like they can't defend it very well. So. Yeah,
my raids in my area haven't been so bad. I'm also in a location where they can only attack from one direction.
Well, it's same for us too.
But when I saw them running in, I was like, what happens if I'm not here? So and they're like, this is back when I was like level 3 or something, but they're like level 7s running in, and then later I saw they're like 14, and I'm like, is this scaling? That's not good. Like, I don't want stronger and stronger people showing up you know, kill off everything I have.
Yeah, it gets
but
crazy.
I'm also only 9 hours in the game, so I'm not super invested. If my shit got destroyed, I'd be a little upset, but not devastated. So
and you eventually get stone and metal and
yeah. But yeah, Palworld's definitely cool. I definitely understand for the most part why it's popular, just not this popular. And when it comes to the comparison stuff, I already kind of talked a little bit earlier, but talked about it. But I understand people's concern with it, but I haven't seen anything that is, in my opinion, as not a lawyer, legally going to get them in trouble.
I understand to an extent, but you need to not be championing some multi-billion-dollar corporation. Man.
Well, if they blatantly did copy something, that needs to be taken care of because you can't just steal shit. But because people are like, oh, they ripped them off. I'm like, no, the things that people are saying is not ripping off; it's theft. And if there's theft involved, fucking Nintendo will do something about it.
Oh, for sure.
When people were saying when the game first came out, like, oh shit, dude, wait till Nintendo gets their hands on this. Like, no, Nintendo would have already been fucking suing them if it was that blatant.
Well, and they're not afraid to. I mean, to give an example, I don't really watch him too much, but like Ludwig, for example, does a lot of stuff with Nintendo games. And he's like, he straight up said, he's like, if Nintendo wanted to, they'd sue them. He's like, I've been in trouble with Nintendo multiple times. They are not afraid.
Well, this is
coming
obvious.
people,
The amount of mods out there
that
have been shut down because of Nintendo is insane. If you do anything with Nintendo stuff, and even if it's free, and Sony just did this recently with Bloodborne card, which really sucks, but oh well. Everybody knew it was going to come. Like, it's coming. Sony's not going to let you just do something with their fucking property. Same thing with Nintendo. Nintendo has done it many times. So when people are like, oh, you know, Palworld, blah, 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 they're going to get it. It's like, you're acting like Nintendo is not on this shit with lesser things. If there's an actual...
one of the largest brands on the planet.
Yeah. If there was actual just blatant ripping off or stealing, as a lot of people have said they've done with taking character models they didn't do, Nintendo would have been on a long time ago. There's no like build up waiting game here. Like, they would just go cease and desist right now. It's over. And if there's something we can do to like legally get you, we're going to do it. So that's like the person who's making Bloodborne cart was like, we got contacted by Sony, and long story short, we have to scrub it of all branding. That's what they said. And you could kind of tell there's like, obviously Sony's probably like, hey, we don't want to do anything, so just get rid of the branding. Like,
I'm actually, that's very generous, I'd say.
Sure. And so
lawyers are usually just like, see you in court.
Yeah. Well, people think too, like, it's like the dev that's going to come after you. It's like, no, dude, like there's whole teams with these companies who just like are there to protect the company. And so they see somebody infringing on something and they're going to go after them. So anyway, the whole controversy, I can't talk tonight, fucking has been, I understand where it's coming from, but people jumped way too far before any real information was there. And all that tells me is, like I said, like within like the first 3 days, regardless if you like Call of Duty or not, Call of Duty's super popular. And with super popular, you get people who just hate it because it's popular. Yeah. Take any popular game out there that's super popular. There's gonna be people who don't like it and they're gonna say it's overrated because they don't like it and other people like it. And it's like, boohoo, play something else. Palworld went from nobody gave a fuck about it the day before it came out. Nobody gave a shit about it. Even streamers were barely talking about it. And then the day it came out, people were like, holy shit, this game's amazing. And then it shot up in sales, and the fervor of just people going like, fuck Palworld, fuck these guys. They're using AI, never proven. They stole assets from Pokemon, never proven. Actually, it was proven fake. The one-to-one thing, fake. And then they're like, these Pokemon, or these pals, are straight up copied from Pokemon. It's like, yeah, some of them are definitely heavily inspired.
Sure.
And I'm saying it lightly, but I think they changed enough to make sure they couldn't get in trouble. But then the ones they're also comparing is like a fucking penguin next to a Pokemon penguin. And if you look at them detail by detail, 98% of it is nothing like the other one. Yeah. They're just both penguins.
Well, and people have said this, but like, Pokemon doesn't own animals.
They sure as fuck don't own penguins, but yeah, they don't own anything. And then people keep bringing up that Dragon Quest has all these fucking monsters.
Pokemon definitely took inspiration from.
And it's funny because during this conversation that was happening, people were like, oh, look at this penguin and this penguin. They're totally stealing this from Pokemon. And someone posted the bat from fucking Dragon Quest and the bat from Pokemon, and the guy who was attacking Palworld was like, what, Dragon Quest owns bats? And the guy's like, that's funny.
The irony. Yeah.
Like, we went full fucking circle here. So anyway, it's stupid. People obviously take inspiration, and the Mewtwo thing is interesting because it's definitely like, this is gonna be our version of Pokemon Mewtwo, but they changed enough that I don't think they can get in trouble for. So you can maybe not respect the process, but like in terms of like, did they do something inherently wrong or legally going to get them in trouble? We'll find out, but I'm not so sure because we haven't heard shit. So we'll see.
Right.
Anyway, I wanted to get that off my chest because the conversation has just been stupid. Like criticize it. Be smart about it.
Sure.
Don't just fucking jump in and be like, they did this thing that's not proven
all the time.
Sure, yeah. but I don't ever go, they stole this character model from their game. It's like, man, now you're talking about straight up theft. You mean they got into their files, took it out and put it in their game on a different engine? That's fucking wild. Like, I feel like Nintendo would for sure be suing them instantly because that'd be easily, checked.
Yeah.
So anyway, Palworld's fun. I like it, and I'll play it some more. Okay. I've been absolutely cracking out on another game that's kind of similar to Palworld, but also very different. Enshrouded. I actually was gonna wait to pick this up because I was like, man, I'm already playing Palworld. Do I need another survival building game? Luckily, Enshrouded's pretty fucking different than Palworld. While also being pretty similar. I think Enshrouded is very much close to like Valheim in its game play loop. Also kind of reminds me of Breath of the Wild and like Fable or something. But yeah, Enshrouded is a third-person action adventure platforming survival game. You don't really have to eat to survive, but you eat for buffs, basically, to regen health or have more health or regen your stamina faster, stuff like that. The thing that's interesting about Enshrouded is you start off, you get very much like Palworld and other survival games, you get a shrine, and wherever you put the shrine down, you get a circle in that area, you can build in that area. You can upgrade that shrine, and it grows the area you can build in vertically and horizontally or circularly. And as you level that up as well, you get certain stats increased. The game is called Enshrouded because certain parts of the world are in a shroud. When you're in the shroud, you have 5 minutes before you die, basically. So when you have to enter the shroud, you're in danger. There's monsters in the shroud.
So it's like a miasma.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's loot. There's all sorts of stuff in the shroud, and then there's certain areas you can get rid of the shroud. You'll go into a oh god, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? It's like a well. You have to go down this like underground cavern and fight a boss. And when you fight that boss and destroy this thing, it gets rid of the shroud in that area.
I thought you were gonna say you have to collect water from the wells. Like, what is this, Crystal Chronicles?
No,
because you have to go collect the little like the dewdrop to get the
I forgot about
the
that
miasma away from you.
Yep.
Yeah,
might be inspired by that.
I mean, I just, you started saying, I was like, are you talking about Crystal Chronicles right now? But anyway, sorry.
So as you level up your shrine, and it might not be called shrine, I forgot what it's called, but it'll increase the amount of time you get when you enter the shroud, and then it gives you all these other things. It gives you later a second shrine you can build and put it anywhere in the world. You put it right next to yours or put it somewhere really far away. The map's fucking gigantic. I have 20 hours in this game, and I've explored like 15% of the map probably. The map's also covered in different types of dungeons, temples, a lot of stuff you have to collect. The game feels like an action adventure platforming game first and a survival building game second, which I think is really interesting. Also, unlike a lot of these games, you don't get XP from cutting things down, breaking things, crafting things. When you kill things, you barely get XP, which kind of sucks. You get chunks of XP for completing quests because there's a bunch of quest givers and completing and finding locations. And so the game is an adventure game first. In fact, in the reviews, a lot of people were complaining that, well, not complaining, they're explaining. A lot of people, they were saying were complaining because they thought it was going to be this open sandbox. Everybody kind of make their own areas, kind of like Conan Exiles Minecraft style game. But what the co-op, I guess, is more like is like just a co-op game where you're joining somebody's game in their progression. And I think you bring your character and you can build and stuff, but you're more so just adventuring with them. It has more of an emphasis on that since you only have the one shrine until you get a second one unlocked. I don't think the other player gets one. I think they have to share your area with them, and so it has a more co-op adventure feeling, I guess. The game's got melee combat, shields, two-handed weapons, single-handed weapons. It's got staffs for shooting magic. It's got spells you can find and use. It's got archery. It's got a smaller but Path of Exile style skill tree. That's a big circle, and on the outside it says barbarian, warrior, like ranger, and if you head in that direction, the stuff is more themed for that, but you can go in any direction.
Okay.
I'm like level 6. It takes a long time to level in the game because it's all about exploring, and I've been building so much. But yeah, I so far have a double jump. I have a slam move I can do when I jump in the air that does a bunch of damage, and now I have a parry ability that if I parry a dude when he swings at me, I do 20% more damage than my next hit. And then I just unlocked another thing where I forgot, a certain amount of damage if I parry at all. So they take damage once they get parried as well. So that's kind of cool. There's also I was going in one direction on the skill tree, but I had to reset it. I didn't like the move, but basically it's in the warrior tree. If you stun somebody when you're fighting them, you hit E and you can do like a move on them, and it does a shitload of damage. But most time, if you click, the animation's going anyway. So a lot of times I wasn't able to hit E anyway. So I was like, this is not going to be as useful as something else. The double jump has been fucking insanely useful. There's been places it didn't want me to go yet, and I was just like, I'm going to get there. It's also voxel based too, though, so you can destroy most things, which is pretty cool. I started placing blocks for building into the ground, and I delete it and leave a square hole in the ground, and I started just tunneling underground, making like underground fucking bases and shit. Yeah, I have 2 bases. I have one that's in a field. It's pretty cool looking. It's kind of like a glorified shack, but it's pretty neat, pretty intricate. And then my second base I'm working on right now, and I spent hours on it so far, is up in the trees. So I'm building like a tree fort, which is pretty cool. It's fucking massive. It looks like a spaceship when you look up in the air. Yeah, it's funny because the building, when I first started playing the game, I'm like, it's simple, whatever. I can work with this, though. And then I realized it's not. There's a lot you can do with it. So at first, it kind of defaults you to using these big, huge blocks to make like floors and then just basic walls and stuff like that. But then you can use like individual 1x1 voxel blocks that take less resources, obviously, because it's just a smaller block. But you can place those like anywhere. So you can just like get really intricate with the design. And since it is voxels, say if you're putting a bunch of rock or whatever, it starts smoothing kind of the rocks together, so it looks less blocky.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. I've been experimenting a lot with building stuff, and I'm nonstop just unlocking more and more things to craft, which is kind of daunting because there's like 6 characters you have to go find on the map and bring them back to your base, and then you can set them up anywhere in your base. So there's NPCs.
Okay. And
as things happen in the game, they'll have new dialogue, new things to say. They'll send you on new quests, but they also all have their own things they can craft. And then as you find new materials, they're like, oh, hey, I can craft this now that you found that. So the list just expands further and further. I found the carpenter, who was the last guy I didn't have in my base, and he has so much building stuff, like different types of doors, windows, beds, all sorts of shit, furniture, toilets, bathtubs, like all sorts of shit. So I'm gonna be really decking my house out now. Yeah, the visual style is really cool too. It has like this there's like a lot of like ambient fog in the fields that flows through them, which looks really cool. Kind of reminds me of Valheim, except for this game looks better than Valheim. One thing this game does better than Valheim is my base doesn't get attacked randomly. So that's been nice. Unless that happens later in the game, I don't know. I also got, somebody who commented on one of my TikToks got yelled at by somebody else because they said they liked in Palworld how if you put things into boxes, no matter where it's at on your base, if you use it during crafting, it'll just happen, which I think is fucking really nice. Like, yeah, it's kind of immersion breaking, but I don't care because when you're crafting a shitload,
it's an automation game.
Yeah.
So.
But then this person in my comments was like, they're like, actually play the game before you talk about it. This game also has that, and I didn't know yet because I haven't seen that. But then he was like, there's magic boxes you can get that'll do that in Enshrouded, and sure shit, I just unlock those. But I was like, you probably could have told them that nicer.
Well,
You have to be a dick about it, but whatever.
pretty used to seeing that on there myself, but
Yeah. So anyway, Enshrouded also has that system. You just have to earn it. Palworld just gives it to you, so take that as you will. And yeah, I am 20 hours into the game, really enjoying it. I'm probably going to be cracking out on it for the rest of the week. Hopefully, I play other games. I've been, I was telling you already, but I was playing Enshrouded on most of my screen. On the side, I had Attack on Titan playing because I've been watching through that. If you're curious about my thoughts on that, go check out Tasty Flicks. I just did a season 1 review for Attack on Titan, and I guess I'm one episode away from finishing season 2. So I was like watching it, and then I just stopped. I was like, yeah, that's a good place to stop. And then we were checking it today, and there's one episode left.
Yeah.
One episode left of season 2, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm almost done with that. So yeah, this game's been really good for that. Even though with this show, sometimes like I'll be playing and I have to just like pause and just watch because I'm like, this is getting really crazy. But yeah, I would definitely recommend Enshrouded. And I saw on the new top seller list, Palworld's number 1 and number 2 is Enshrouded. So that's cool to see. It's not getting the same crazy sales that Palworld has gotten, but I think it's already sold over 1 million or 2.
I think it's a good thing for survival games, to be honest, because
Go ahead.
I was just say they've been kind of stagnant. So.
Yeah. Valheim was like the last exciting one.
Yeah, and that one didn't do it for me personally, but a lot of people love that game.
I really liked it. I still didn't like that my bases were getting attacked because I was like, I started the game wrong now. Like next time I play that game, I'm just gonna like be like, everybody here, let's all make a base here. This is a defense game. This is not like a live here and build up my house type game. We need to be building Attack on Titan fucking walls and shit. I've been watching that, just ready to play Valheim again. But yeah, that kind of alluding to one of the things I'll be watching in this episode, Nightingale. This is going to be kind of a big year for survival games. It's already started because Palworld and Enshrouded are both like really good, and they're both in that genre. So it's kind of crazy, and I think Nightingale looks fucking awesome. But we'll watch something later on that. So anyway, Enshrouded's cool. Check it out. Definitely, if you're even curious about it, I highly recommend it. Okay, last game I've been playing quite a bit and really fucking am loving is Tekken 8, which has finally come out, and it is really good. I dare I say like it more than Tekken 7, and Tekken 7 was awesome. Looks better, plays better, has way more going on with it. If you're curious, I beat the campaign, which is only like 3 hours long, but it's a fucking campaign. It's packed, super cinematic. They do some really creative stuff with it, stuff I wasn't expecting. And even though the story is whatever, it's a fun ride. It's definitely worth playing. And I kind of like that it's kind of short. Like, with a fighting game, you just want to fight shit. You just want to get in there, either fight computer or fight your friend or fight people online. And this campaign tells the story. It's worth the ride. It's fucking wild. You unlock shit for doing it, but also doesn't take up a shitload of time. So I kind of liked that. And I really like that fighting games are, putting the effort into campaigns now. It's not like a NetherRealms campaign, but it's fucking cool. They also have this thing called Arcade Quest, which I think is probably one of the most clever tutorials for a fighting game ever. You get to make your... you can make a separate one, or you can use the same one. I actually made my online avatar, and then I used him in Arcade Quest. So, but in Arcade Quest, you're basically like a chibi character in a world of other chibi characters at arcades, and you're trying to be like, really good at Tekken. And there's all these other Tekken players in the arcade, and they're all of their own ambitions of like, oh, I want my character to look awesome, or oh, I also want to be really good. And you kind of go from arcade to arcade, learning how to play the game from the main dude. Every time you enter a new arcade, he has new tips to give you, and he has you try them out. And it's very easy to follow. It's so nice because some fighting games, it's kind of difficult. It's just like in words how to do it. And this will show you the example over and over and over again until you're ready. And then you hit the button, and then it'll give you tips on how to do it better, which is really smart. But then also you can fight you can fight a bunch of people in these arcades too. And it increases your rank for whoever you're playing. But also there's customization unlockables. There'll be people with treasure chests above their head, and you walk up to them, fight them, and if you beat them, you unlock whatever they had. So it's definitely felt worth it to play through Arcade Quest. I think I have like one more arcade left before I beat it. I also played online. I played one person. I beat them, and I've been jokingly saying I got this from Josh. He did this one time, and he fucking, I forgot what game. I think it was oh god, the Smash Bros game that's Looney Tunes. Multiverses. Whenever the fuck that's coming back. He played that like once, won. He's like, well, and he went straight to Twitter and he's like, I got 100% win rate. Fuck you, and he's just done with it. But I did the same thing here. I fought one person in Tekken 8 and beat them. I'm like, 100%, dude. I'm done. I'm retiring. It's really neat though. It's got a cool. I mean, you guys have been following or been following. We watched the like preview of the game, and it shows off that hub, and they did a really good job. It's really straightforward. You can just match make instantly. You can walk up to somebody sitting on an arcade machine and challenge them directly. You can sit down anywhere in the arcade and just start matchmaking or play people directly. There's like a list, just like friend list. You can invite people in and start fighting them and spectate. Pretty basic stuff, but they did it really well. My one match that I did play online was very smooth, no issues. So whatever the rollback technology they're using there is working well. I kind of stayed away from fighting games online for a long time because I had bad experiences back in the early days of online fighting games, and the idea of dealing with the lag or whatever in such a competitive style game was not interesting for me. So yeah, I really like what they're doing here. Yeah, the game's really good. I've played a bunch of the characters already. A lot of the ones that you kind of know from the past are all there. They all play similar but have new stuff going on. But the new characters, I think her name's Reina.
Is it the one with the blue coat or whatever?
I think she has a red coat with like purple blue hair.
Probably the one who's sitting in the chair or whatever in a lot of the videos.
I think so. Yeah. She's all over stuff, but she's kind of a bigger element of the campaign. And then Victor Chevalier, who's my new favorite Tekken character. He's like a French samurai guy. He's fucking awesome. I love that. He uses a sword, pistol, and daggers, and he's like super fast. So definitely right up my alley. And then I forget who the third new character is, but I'm pretty sure I played them, whoever they are. There's so many. I think there's like 32 characters in this game. Like as soon as it came out, I'm like, that's fucking insane. Yeah, and the game's awesome. I'm gonna keep playing it. I am thinking about investing in a fight stick because Tekken. I'm one of those people who plays Tekken holding the controller where I'm pressing the face buttons like this. And for anybody who's not looking, I'm not holding the controller with both hands. Yeah, whatever that is. And so I'm like, if I'm already playing this anyway, maybe I should use a fight stick. So I kind of want to buy one just to see if it would be beneficial. But most fighting games I don't play like that, so it's only going to be for Tekken. So I just need recommendations. If anybody knows any good fight sticks, there was I was looking at the Hori ones, but then I looked at reviews and people say they're like not amazing. There's another one I looked at too though that people really liked. I forgot who makes it. Anyway, thinking about buying one of those, and I think it's everything. I think it's everything I've been playing. So yeah. Anything else?
I don't.
All right, let us know in the comments what games have you guys been playing. What games would you recommend us play, and what games are you looking forward to playing? Are you playing Suicide Squad? What do you think of that? Because I've been hearing horrible things about that, but curious because it's high budget. And I was kind of curious about it, but now I'm not so much. So let me know if you're playing that and what you think of it.
Maybe not $70 curious.
Yeah, well, and a lot of stuff I'm seeing on it too. I'm like, I don't know if I want to support the game, so we'll see. And yeah, let us know everything you're thinking about when it comes to what you've been playing in the comments below. All right, we got some videos to watch, and the first one we have to watch is Helldivers 2 official gameplay overview trailer. I believe Helldivers 2 is coming out February 8th. February 8th. So coming out very soon. Josh was very nice and sent me a copy on Steam for my birthday, so I appreciate that. So I'm ready to play it. But yeah, I thought it'd be fun to watch this and see kind of what they're bringing to the table when it comes to this third-person iteration of Helldivers 2. If you're not familiar, the original Helldivers was a top-down, squad-based co-op game that was hardcore. You could kill each other or easily get killed, and Helldivers 2 seems to be the same, except for it's third person. So yeah, we'll watch this and we'll react to it. You got anything to say before we watch this? You gonna pick it up?
Probably.
Sick. It's funny because I was like, oh, 2024 is not gonna be so bad for games or whatever, but I'm buying like all these like not high tier games but like mid tier games, and I'm playing them all, and I'm like, there's already too many games.
I don't think you're the only one, because you got companies like Square talking about maybe making more smaller games because they've been more profitable for them. So
yeah, it's crazy. I just have all these like I have all these little games I'm playing right now that I'm having fun with, and now Helldivers 2 is about to come out, and then I think there's something else coming out in February.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, I can't play that until I beat the remake, but I'm just gonna buy that on Steam and play, because it'll be easier for me to play it on a computer than on PlayStation. But yeah, more games are coming out. We are just inundated with all these mid games. All right, ready to watch this?
Yep.
All right, this is Helldivers 2 official gameplay overview trailer in 3, 2, 1, go. I'm so stoked that it's third person.
Prior to the beginning of this game, the Terminants, which have been confined to their own farm planets, harvested for Element 710, have broken loose. And the Helldivers are being mobilized once more to deal with this threat, but also the brand new race. They seem to be called the Automatons. They work as full robots. It might not be a bad idea to put them in their place too. You're going to be playing as a Helldiver. They go through training. Very thorough training.
It's similar to the first game. You had to like dive under the
and are frozen
guns.
until needed. Our cryogenic technology is second to none. When you start to play as a Helldiver, they've just been defrosted and ready to command their super destroyer. In the game of Helldivers 2, you are going to spend most of your time in combat, fighting enemies.
Hell yeah.
Everything that's happening outside of the mission when you're on your ship is about strategy. The galactic map shows you the current situation of the war. It shows you what planets are super Earth planets, what planets are being covered by some sort of enemy scum, and where the battlefront is. And as the Helldiver, you get to decide exactly what planets you're going to fight on, what enemies you're going to go against. You get to make quite a number of choices there. At the same time, the Galactic War is the place where Super Earth High Command is going to be communicating out to Helldivers across the galaxy. They'll be letting you know what the current top military priority is. They are broken out into two types of orders: major orders and personal orders. Major orders are big, long-lasting things that the community as a whole is working towards. These are things that are central to the story. There are ways in which you can be a major contributor to changing the face of the galaxy itself. That's going to take the combined effort of Helldivers across the galaxy working towards.
It's funny, it's literally Helldivers except for third person.
On the personal order level, something that you and your squad can do all together, maybe you'll be sent off to kill a couple of really terrifying enemies, and only in a specific way. And if you do it exactly in that way, you'll get a reward for having done the good work of Super Earth.
More stuff to unlock, because the first game had plenty, but
an operation is a number of missions. On lower difficulties, you have fewer missions. As you go into higher difficulties, you get more missions per operation. In a mission, you don't simply have one thing that you're doing. You need to shoot the nuclear missile. You need to start up the generators for it. You need to find the launch codes. These are objectives spread out on the map. There's also secondary optional objectives. You don't have to do it, but you are rewarded if you do. Sometimes you find an artillery gun that you can load up, and then you can use that artillery gun. But there's also hostile ones. There are artillery emplacements, buildings that disables you from using your stratagems, gooey bug structures that spreads fog. You have your Helldiver destroyer. It can be upgraded. In the ship management, you buy bigger
Oh,
guns, bigger
shit.
eagles, and to get those, you need samples. You find them on the level. You need to extract to get your samples with you to your ship.
I'm so ready. I'm excited to decorate the ship.
Requisition you use to buy stratagems. You get it mainly by just doing your missions.
Okay.
Most of your personal equipment, like your armor, your helmet, primary weapons, grenades, those are acquired in your
unlocked
warbond.
stuff,
And in
I think,
warbond,
before
you
you
need
bought
medals.
certain things. It
You
seems
get
like you're
medals
just buying
from
everything in
doing
this.
operations. You also get it from doing orders. You have a lot of stuff that you as a player get to choose from and create a loadout that fits your playstyle.
Oh, I love that there's like ragdoll.
The Galactic War isn't just that, though. It's also a place where we, as the developers, can interact with you, watching what you are doing, watching how the community is playing, and maybe, if appropriate, giving you just the weapon you need to push yourself over the edge. Or maybe, if it's the right time in the story, seeing a negative consequence and giving you an added challenge.
So they'll be doing
We don't
dynamic
think
shit.
that many other games are going to be able to offer what Helldivers 2 can. We love our game, and we want you to love our game just as much as we do. And we want to be part of it. We want to be part of it together alongside you. So pre-order Helldivers 2 and let us play alongside you.
Josh did for me.
Do you think it's cool that they can kind of like, you know, basically throw events out there, perks or negative? So
Yeah, I'm really curious on what the depth of that is. Or like, is it just like going to be like everyone on this planet there's doing this, or is it going to be actually individual? Like, I have a hard time believing that, you know, they would be, you know, watching that often.
Yeah, I'm sure it's more on the global stat aspect of it.
Yeah.
So,
But having like more active events that are happening in a more dynamic ways, interesting for sure. So
yeah, one, it's probably fun for them too because they get to kind of like make the game more dynamic, but they also get to see how people, you know, react to that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. It looks fun. It's got some customization options too, which is always welcome. I'm not playing it for that, but it definitely makes it more enticing. And yeah, that explosion where the guy hit the rock and just kind of ragdolled down it was nice because it felt impactful, which is something I definitely enjoy in all games. So
yeah, I feel like you're going to be seeing some clips on like TikTok or whatever of just people getting killed in crazy ways. If you're able to like launch people like that, that's going to be perfect for certain scenarios. The customization though is cool because the first game had it, but it's a top-down game, so like you might have like a different color cape, or like, you know, you're so far away that you didn't really see very much. But hopefully there's more in this than there was in that game, but that you're actually playing in third person, I think will benefit a lot from that and kind of differentiate people on your squad. I also love that they're adding that you can customize the ship because it's going to be your hub. So just like in Warframe, when you're sitting in your ship, I don't know if you still sit in your ship anymore or not, but like back when I was playing it, you could like decorate your ship and change things up. And I always kind of loved that because it made it feel, you know, like mine. And, you know, them doing that in this is really cool. It also in some ways kind of gives me Deep Rock Galactic vibes. Just obviously not the same because you're not mining, although you are collecting things, which I think is really neat. That'll make it, you know, feel a little more dynamic than just going in and shooting shit. You're actually looking for stuff, which is kind of cool. I also like a lot of the things they're like loading into missiles into and stuff like that and launching was kind of neat. I want to see what that's like in gameplay, but I like that they're just adding more things to do while you're on mission. But yeah, I mean, the game's looking awesome. I can't wait to play this. I hope that there's just, if I had like one complaint about the first game, it's not even the top down thing. I actually liked it being top down, but I will definitely prefer it third person, is content. It did feel like, and I didn't play the game that much. I played it plenty, but not like a shitload. But I felt like I was getting to the end of the content pretty quick, and it was, you know, more so like the fun was coming from just like the team aspect, but then like a lot of people I know weren't playing it anymore, so I started feeling repetitive. So hopefully they can add enough content and unlockable things and things to work towards that'll keep you playing longer. So yeah. You have anything else to say? Yeah. Well, it comes out soon. I'm really excited for this. It's not one of my most hyped games, but it's definitely in my like top 20 for sure of this year. So 15 maybe. I don't know. So yeah, I'm really excited to play this. Hopefully it lives up. It looks like it's gonna, and it's impressing me and surprising me in a lot of ways too. So hopefully it just plays well. Hopefully it plays well, and I'll be happy. So yeah, let us know in the comments what you guys think of Helldivers 2 official gameplay overview trailer. What stood out to you? What are you most excited about? Did you play the original game? What did you think of that game? And what are you hoping for when it comes to this game in terms of content and support? Hopefully they support this game really well. And what are you going to play it on? Let me know everything you think about in the comments below when it comes to Helldivers 2. Next video we got is Nightingale, the final preview. I don't know if they have a release date for this, but if it's the final preview, it's got to be coming out. Oh, February. Sick. Okay. Well, it's coming out February 22nd. Yep. And yeah, this is another survival game. We're going to watch this and talk about it. I know last time we watched it, you were not super stoked about it, so we'll see what you think about it this time. I'm really stoked for this, so I can't wait. I can't wait to just play it, but I definitely want to know more about it. So yeah, you got anything you want to say before we watch this?
I don't think I remember it, to be honest. So
you'll probably remember quick. It's got a pretty definitive style.
Gotcha.
It's that game where they're like floating around on umbrellas. They got like old timey like guns, and they're going through portals to different worlds and stuff.
I think the aesthetic, which just wasn't really my thing.
Yeah,
was all. So
yeah, which I get that because it definitely is my thing. But it's like such a distinct look that if you're not into that, it's not gonna do anything for you. So
yeah, I might be wrong, but yeah, it comes off like kind of like steampunky. I'm not the biggest steampunk fan, so
yeah. All right, let's watch this and we'll talk about it. This is Nightingale, the final preview. 3, 2, 1, go.
I learned so many intriguing things about Nightingale during my visit to Inflection Games that it'd be impossible to unpack everything in one short video. So I won't, but I will hopefully shed some light on the setting and gameplay loop. Nightingale isn't necessarily the game you'd expect from seasoned ex-BioWare devs, but the years of experience behind its ideation is evident in what I saw in more than 6 hours of gameplay, a stylish take on a shared world survival crafting RPG.
Yeah, I love the art, or the art
The
style,
world of
yeah.
Nightingale is similar to our own in the 1800s. However, in this alternate reality, the Fae appeared in the 1500s to share their knowledge of magic with humans, altering the path of history and spurring the birth of the magical city of Nightingale. Nightingale begins with a short prologue introducing the world and setting the stage for the opening moments. A mysterious phenomenon known as the Pale has foggily swept over the entirety of Earth, putting everything it touches into a state of suspended animation. The only human city left is Nightingale, but the magical portals to get there have malfunctioned, cutting off access. Actually, the entire system of portals and Fey realms have been thrown into chaos, tossing the human realm walkers, including you, around with it. The story and setting loosely glue your overarching objectives together and serve as a curious jumping off point into the world and gameplay. Alongside you on your journey back to Nightingale is Puck, who explains much of the way of the world as you progress.
But beware. In short time, darkness will descend.
Instead of assigning small tasks one after the other over and over again to serve the story, Nightingale allows the player freedom and space to grow curious enough to come up with their own goals. It's a not so uncommon trait among survival crafting games, and it's just one reason why Nightingale is so appealing to me. In the beginning, players need more short-term, explicit goals to help them get going as a sort of tutorial. As you follow Puck from realm to realm after fleeing the Pale, he instructs you to do very basic survival crafting trope tasks.
Wait, like Icarus, you like go from place to place?
Even though there is magic, the developers wanted to keep it
Kind
more
of seems
grounded.
like that, but I don't know if you
just
can come
conjure
back or
stuff
not.
like a campfire out of thin air.
Also, really my style.
Magic exists for humans in a system of enchantments. Collect materials and craft to be able to perform magic, but only while wielding the weapon with the enchantment.
Okay.
It's ugly.
Fairly early on, Nightingale opens up and offers inspiration to conjure your own goals. After putting down your first cairn to stake out a home base, you'll find a site of power. These mini dungeons of sorts are only unlocked if you meet the power requirements, which can be achieved by a variety of means.
It's a big frog.
After unlocking and completing the Site of Power, we earned a new major realm card recipe. Realm cards, basically, are used in combination to open portals to new realms. There are 3 types of cards: Biome, Major, and Minor. A Biome Realm card and a Major Realm card are necessary, while the Minor Realm card is optional.
Interesting.
The Biome dictates the environment, the Major card loosely dictates the difficulty of that realm, and the Minor Realm card will affect minor things, like weather or creature behavior. The minor cards can be deactivated and switched out at will, too. The realm that's created once you apply the cards to the portal is completely procedurally generated, but stagnant once created and uniquely yours. No one else will have the same layout for their Abeyance Forest realm, for example. This is your main goal and basic progression. Unlock card recipes to unlock more difficult realms, with the goal of getting stronger and eventually reaching Nightingale. The namesake city isn't available just yet in early access, but there is the multiplayer hub The Watch, Apex Creature Hunts, and the difficult vaults, intended to be completed in multiplayer. But there are plenty of other incentives and goals too. You can also earn crafting recipes for new building pieces, so you can make the dwelling of your dreams. Unlocking new realms helps you toward that goal too, as each realm combination has shops with different crafting recipes. In most survival crafting games, I generally leave the building and town organization to others, and I see my aim being similar in Nightingale. The Apex Creature Hunts and Vaults, inspired loosely by Destiny 2 Strikes, promise to be challenging with worthwhile rewards. Though I didn't get to play these myself, I did get to be in the room while a group of players coordinated together to conquer them. First, the Apex Creature Humbaba. I loved hearing lead designer Bjorn Taylor telling his teammates to remember to eat for buffs before engaging. But despite their best efforts to prepare, the hunt still turned into a bit of chaos, to my delight. One person accidentally aggroed the Humbaba by shooting
That's kind
it,
of
to
a
which someone else
shitty
responded
death
with, "You have to
screen.
press a button
They
to
didn't even
shoot.
like
How
go
did you do
down or
that?"
anything. They stood
I couldn't
there.
really help but laugh along with the team. It looked like a fun time with your
Cool
friends.
trees full.
Watching them play through the vault was equally entertaining. The team didn't solve one of the puzzles very quickly, causing Inflection CEO Aaron Flynn to hang his head in his hands and lament. To their credit, the vaults are procedurally generated, so the layout is never the same.
Okay.
Eventually, they succeeded, moved on, and tackled the Apex creature at the end of the dungeon. All in all, the gameplay loops of Nightingale look flexible, engrossing, and fun, though I am mildly worried about how much attention the base building can keep of my crafty friends. I'm unsure of what else there is to do or maintain once it's built the way you like, but I also perhaps don't fully appreciate the amount of time and effort it will take to unlock the recipes needed to create your dream home. Of course, I do suppose creatures can also come wreck things and force you to build anew, too. The joys of survival. Nightingale is being released in early access on February 22nd. For more on Nightingale and everything else, keep it here at IGN.
Early access.
Yeah. Typical for survival games. But
yeah. All right. What we think?
Well, as some of the aesthetics aside, because I do think some of the stuff in the game looks really good.
You definitely tell people from, they said BioWare, right?
Yes.
Worked on it, 'cause it feels a little more in some ways than like a lot of survival games are offering.
Well, it
quality.
also definitely emphasizes the RPG part of it. Which is attractive to me.
Yeah.
The creature designs and stuff like that, though, I think are probably my favorite part of the game. They look really good.
Yeah. I agree.
I also like the emphasis on multiplayer, like dungeons and boss fights. It gives it kind of a MMO MMO-y vibe, but they also did kind of make a comparison to Destiny, which I see a little bit in there. Honestly, my biggest concern, because I can get over like the visuals of any game if it's fun enough. It's not like a huge breaking point for me. It's just not a good like introduction.
Sure.
The base building part, I know you get all these recipes and stuff like that to like, you know, they kept wording it to build your dream home, but are you building a base like constantly in different places and stuff like that? Because I don't mind like doing that for like missions and stuff, but I still would like a home base.
From what I gathered, I don't think it's going to be like Icarus, although Icarus now has...
It has it has
like three modes now.
Yeah.
One of them is the classic mode, but you can like just pick the location too and start building, which is pretty cool. I need to go back to that game at some point, but I forgot where we're gonna go with that. It does sound like you put down that, I forgot what they said it was, like a cairn or something like that,
You claim your spot.
You claim a spot, you build there, and it sounds like when you go through a portal, you can come back. I don't know if you're constantly going to new locations and never coming back. But let us know in the comments if you know or not, because it wasn't completely clear. But I do hope that, like, you know, you can come back to your planet and maybe this is where you like to be most of the time. So you're going to build more here. Because, yeah, if it is a temporary location, just like an Icarus, I'm not going to put a whole lot of work into like how good my place looks. I'm going to make sure it's functioning and survivable because I'm going to be fucking leaving. It's not going to matter. But in a game like this that does have such a cool aesthetic look to it, I would hope that you can just build somewhere and have a home base, because, you know, if you're going to build something like that, I don't want to abandon that. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a valid thing to be concerned about.
Yeah. And it is going to be an early access game, obviously. So it's good. There's a large chance for changes to happen up until its official, like, actual release. But, you know, I honestly, it's probably something I will try regardless of my initial thoughts. And honestly, it's just more like the character aesthetics, because I think the game itself looks great. The structures look good. The creatures look good. The world looks good. I just don't really like the
old-timey look.
The old-timey look, yeah. It's just not my thing. So
I like that it's a first-person game, and it almost looks like if it wasn't a procedurally generated survival game, it almost just looks like a first-person shooter, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, almost.
Especially with the enemy design. Like
also,
that thing.
Magic is cool.
The magic's cool. I am interested in the depth of the game, especially because I'm playing, you know, Enshrouded right now, and Palworld is out now, and those games have a lot to chew on, which will keep you there. I can build all day; it's fun for me, but the thing that's keeping me, you know, in Enshrouded is the constant progression, the skill tree, and all the things I'm finding, the loot everywhere.
Yeah.
And Palworld, obviously, you're collecting all the pals and building up your sweatshop.
Like in Pokemon, you're breeding and trying to get like the perfect stats.
So there's like a lot there that's not just exploration and building. And this game definitely sounds like it has that, but it doesn't have, from what we've heard so far, the depth I just explained from these other games. But maybe it does, and they didn't explain it very well. And so it'll be really interesting to see how it is handled. I do think these like raids sounds really cool, and does sound like Destiny. To me, it does sound like an MMO to me. So in that sense, it does seem like it's going to offer something outside of its visual aesthetic that's going to feel, you know, like, why does this game exist? There's, at this point with survival games, there are plenty, and there's some really good ones, and there's a lot of shit ones. And so, like, if you're going to step into this the genre, you need to offer something that's going to make you stand out. And Palworld nailed that. I think Enshrouded is nailing that. Ark definitely nailed that when it came out. I would argue Conan did too, but that didn't get played as much as a lot of these other games, although I know a lot of people who really love that game. And so, yeah, what are you offering? And this game hopefully has something that feels unique about it outside of just the visual style. So, although I'm really stoked about the weapons. I like the melee weapons. I like the guns that they're using, the bolt action rifles and stuff like that. It's really cool. So, yeah, I'm definitely picking this up. I think it looks awesome, but the concerns that this person from IGN raised about longevity now has me kind of questioning it. So, but, you know, time will tell, and I'll find out once I play it.
Well,
so.
she's also coming from the perspective of someone who's not necessarily a builder, it sounds like. So
yeah, that's fair. Which I am. I mean, that's the first thing I do in any game like this. I'll spend hours and hours and hours building stuff.
Yeah, and
so
if you can just continuously unlock like schematics and stuff like that, there are people that they're going to thrive on that. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else? All right. Let us know in the comments what you guys think of this final preview for Nightingale. Are you excited for the game? Are you kind of in the middle? Are you not excited for it? And what kind of stood out to you here? Do you have any questions like we do, or answers maybe? You maybe know more about it than we do. And yeah, what are you hoping for when it comes to this game? And are you going to pick it up? And what's your favorite survival crafting game? Let us know in the comments below. The last video we are watching is Dragon's Dogma 2 preview. Our thoughts after 10 hours of gameplay. This is also from IGN. We're just watching IGN videos tonight, apparently. And yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is coming out. Is that another February game? Doesn't. I do not. Maybe in the video they'll say. But I feel like it's coming out soon. It's coming out soon. So anyway, we're both excited for this game, I think, right? And I don't really need to see a whole lot more on it, but I am kind of curious about, someone after playing that, 10 hours of it, what they think. So we're going to watch it and react to it. You got anything you want to say on it before we start this up?
Nope.
All right. Dragon's Dogma 2 preview. Our thoughts after 10 hours of gameplay in 3, 2, 1, go.
I thought it would be a simple side quest. The owner of an apothecary enlisted my help to find his lost grandson who had been taken by wolves. As I followed the trail, I heard a screeching noise from up above. All of a sudden, I'm in a battle for my life against a griffin. It's a monster that's far too strong for my party to handle, but we fight and claw and hold our ground until finally we get it to retreat. I breathe a sigh of relief, then set up at the nearby camp and sleep till nightfall. That sleep is then interrupted by the same griffin back for revenge.
It's a good time to attack.
That fight somehow boils over into another battle with a wight, who proceeds to beat me within an inch of my life before I finally take him out, just as the sun rises after an epic 20-minute
I
battle.
fucking love that sword.
Ooh, that is a satisfying level up sound.
True.
None of this was part of the actual quest involving saving the boy. It was just
The
a series
boy.
of events that
That is the
cascaded
boy,
into
for
one of the
sure.
most unforgettable encounters I've ever had in an open world
Damn, you
action
turn the light down,
RPG.
you're blind.
I want to
And
say,
it was
has he been
just
in that
one
cave for
of the
days? What the fuck's
incredible
going on?
encounters I experienced during the 10 hours I spent adventuring through Dragon's Dogma 2's
dude,
that's
fantastic
fun.
open world. While I
Just
didn't get
on
to
his
start from the
face.
very beginning, I did get to begin with the creation of my own pawn. Pawns, for those unfamiliar with the first Dragon's Dogma, are AI-controlled companions that gain gear,
What a
skills,
shame.
and experience from your game, and then take all of that with them online where they can be hired by other players to be companions in their own games.
I hope somebody
I'm
mods
not going to
this
spend
for
too much
multiplayer.
time on either pawns or character creation, especially because we've already made those videos. But what I will say is that pawns are integral to one of my big takeaways, which is that exploration and discovery in Dragon's Dogma 2 feels much more natural than ever
Good.
before. First and foremost, there are no more quest boards. There are no markers that appear above people's heads letting you know who's got a quest, and any sort of symbols placed on your map to let you know of points of interest are kept to a minimum. As
Did
such,
you
the
hear,
wi-
I think it was the director of this game, say that they're not going to have fast travel, and he said that people who have fast travel, basically they need to make less boring games. Because he's talking about the journey is the important part of the game, and if you're bored while journeying, then the game world basically sucks.
I don't know if I agree with that 100%.
I'm somewhere in the middle on it.
I am definitely in the middle as well. I do think fast travel does kind of, unfortunately, you get to a point, obviously, where you're not experiencing the world anymore.
Yep.
And in a lot of games that have fast travel, I do actively not use it.
Yeah, I try to.
But I also work.
Yeah.
And I need to be able to get through a game. So
Well,
it is a tricky balance.
I
So,
agree with people make some boring ass worlds,
Some
and
people do, yeah.
you're gonna feel inclined to do the fast travel. But I also think if you handle fast travel correctly, you could still offer it without having them do it nonstop. But like I remember when Skyrim first came out, and I beat it, and I was like, I don't feel compelled to like really explore this world. I can just fucking teleport everywhere now, and I never really well I've been playing it recently, but it kind of ruined the journey feeling of it. And I remember like in Morrowind, I was just like, and even Oblivion, I was like just exploring every nook and cranny or whatever. And I think you can fast travel in Oblivion. I don't remember anymore, but in Skyrim you can for sure. And it really ruined that journey experience that I had in like Morrowind.
I mean, Elden Ring has fast travel, and I don't feel like my experience was cheapened in that game at all. And I explored a lot in that game.
But it has a world you want to explore though, so that's a huge
But
factor
I
as
also
well.
fast traveled.
Yeah.
It's my whole point there is like I don't think that saying a game with fast travel has a boring world is a 100% accurate. I think you can have it and still give people a reason to explore. So
Yeah, I think there's some truth in the middle there somewhere. So Because I think fast travel has ruined a lot of worlds, but
I do appreciate it. In a game I did not do a lot of like quick travel around and stuff like that was Ghost of Tsushima. I barely rode my horse. I walked everywhere for the most part.
yeah.
Because I was just engrossed by the beauty of the world.
Well, even like going back to Morrowind, which is a really old game, but like a game I really explored a lot of. You could, what are they called? Silt Strider?
Yes.
You could ride those from
Taxis.
town to town. Yeah. I thought that was kind of a cool system because it's like while you're already in town, if you need to get to that town, just spend the money and go there. But, if you're out in the wild, you can't just fast travel somewhere. So I thought that system was, it enhances the journey, feels a little more organic than just being in the middle of a field and clicking a button and perceiving that your guy walked there. But anyway, it's just something I want to bring up because just looking at the world or whatever, it looks like a world I want to explore. And he kind of mentioned they've taken away from using like these billboards and having quest markers over their heads and making it like a more organic, immersive experience. And remind me of what he said. So,
But what he's also creating, whether he likes it or not, is a game that people are going to have a second monitor and a wiki page open at all times.
sure, but that's fucking every game nowadays.
Sure,
The amount of times a game comes out and like people already know where to go and what to do instantly, I'm just like, dude, just experience the game. Or they want to tell me about it. I'm like, don't ruin it for me. I want to experience the game. All right.
Rely on your pawns and NPCs to guide you through Dragon's Dogma 2's world. NPCs will, more often than not, be the ones to approach you with opportunities for side quests, as opposed to it being the other way around.
Say, you wouldn't happen to have seen a pretty stone?
You there! Did you see an urchin in a cap?
Pawns will also point out objects of interest,
Just yonder looks to be a good spot for harvesting ingredients.
boulders that can be destroyed to find a path that leads to treasure,
If you need that destroyed, I'm your pawn. Shall I assist?
or if they already have knowledge of a quest from their
Sounded
owner's
cocky
game,
about
they
that.
will straight up lead you to
I
those
remember that from the
quests
first
if you
game.
give them the go-ahead.
If you
All
brought
of this
someone's
leads to
and
a
they had
style
died
of
before,
exploration
they had
and
info.
adventuring that feels very organic and appropriately rewarding, very much in the same way that Elden Ring and the two most recent Zelda games.
Good.
As alluded to in the intro to this preview, you also never really know what to expect once you set out to pursue a quest lead. The very act of exploring beyond the safety of the city's walls is unpredictable, dangerous, and enticing, which is why it's so exciting.
Good. That's what I'm really enjoying about Enshrouded right now is
Over
the
the course
adventure
of my
aspect
10
of it, the
hours, I got to
exploration.
play with a total of 5 vocations: Fighter, Mage, Warrior, Sorcerer, and Trickster, which you can watch a whole other video all about. Unlike the first game, which had you unlocking advanced vocations simply by leveling up the base ones, the 2 advanced vocations were actually unlocked via a quest. After visiting the Vocation Guild, I was given a quest to retrieve a greatsword and an archstaff, and after doing so, I unlocked both the Warrior and Sorcerer vocations. I don't know if all of them will be unlocked this way, and I didn't get a chance to unlock any of the hybrid ones, like Mystic Spearhand or Magic Archer, but I definitely like the idea of not having to grind vocations in order to unlock others. My personal favorite of the vocations I got to try was by far the Warrior, who maintains the fantasy of being the great sword-wielding badass that brings giant beasts to their knees with just one charged strike, but also adds a few more
Yeah,
tricks
looks
to
pretty
their
fun.
repertoire.
Swinging
Director
the big fucking
Hideaki
sword.
Itsuno heard feedback that the Warrior didn't feel like a super viable vocation in the first game, and thus worked hard to give them some new elements to bring out their strengths. For starters, we've jacked up the Warrior's offense and destructive power, to the point where it's unfair. In exchange, its abilities take a little longer to execute. This makes the vocation somewhat difficult to use, but that's where the tackle comes into play. If you're attacked, you can use the tackle to cause an enemy to be stunned instead of being stunned yourself, making it easier to get into the vocation. The tackle he's referring to is a new ability called Barge that allows the Warrior to execute a quick shoulder bash,
Cool.
even while they're charging an attack, to interrupt and potentially stun any enemy
So
that's
it's
trying
kick.
to stop their attack. The vocation, after all, is built around being able to charge up massively powerful attacks that deal humongous damage. So this small change goes a long way in making it a little
I was
easier
just
to get those
chilling
big
there.
shots off. My favorite new addition for the Warrior, though, is a passive skill that allows you to swing regular attacks much more quickly if you're able to precisely time your next button press with when the attack actually lands.
Interesting.
This gives a
Fantasy
nice
stuff.
rhythm to
Yeah.
the Warrior's combat and allows a skilled player to compensate for the typical weakness of having a very slow attack while still making those very slow and powerful attacks still feel like they have their own place in the
Man, the
warrior skill
combat
set. Also,
looks
if
so
you're like
similar,
me
but
and
better.
enjoy the feeling of leaping off cliffs and slamming your weapon down on a monster's head, this is the vocation for you.
Reminds me of Monster Hunter. Just
I
jumping and hitting
unfortunately
shit.
didn't get deep enough
Oh,
into
I
the
love
sorcerer
doing
vocation
that,
to
so.
see any of the really big, crazy spells that they're so beloved for, but what I really enjoyed about the sorcerer was the addition of a unique skill called Galvanize. This allows you to go into a stance that recovers your stamina extremely quickly, which is especially useful for the sorcerer due to the fact that their spells take so long to cast. To shorten those spells, you need to use a skill called Quick Spell, which allows you to spend stamina to reduce a spell's cast time. All of this leads to a careful balance of preparing to cast a powerful spell,
Interesting.
using Quick Spell to
like
shorten
that's
its cast
even
time,
involved.
and then making note of whether you have enough stamina to cast another spell, or whether you have to break away and use Galvanize to get your
lit
stamina
fucking
back up.
Sophia
It's a
up.
fun dance that made Sorcerer feel a lot
She's
more
cool.
active than in the past. Dragon's Dogma 2's open world is enormous, reported to be roughly 4 times the size of the already huge map in the first game. And I don't doubt that claim in my experience of checking out the map and wandering through just a small portion of it. It's big, but it's also dense, with exciting encounters both on and off the beaten path that were paced nicely so I wasn't constantly slowed down by back-to-back battles, but I also never went too long without having something to engage with. One thing that was important to Itsuno and the team at Capcom was making sure that the players really felt the distance that they were traveling as they explored. To that end, fast travel is very limited like in the first game. You can only travel between discovered port crystals, and every time you do, you must expend a fairy stone, which are highly
does
valuable
have
items
some
that
kind of
don't
fast
come
travel.
cheap and aren't easily found.
Yeah, before this, I'd only heard the quote, so.
Another option you have for getting around is using an ox cart, which is relatively cheap, but they are limited in the fact that you can't choose where you travel. The main one that I found only went from the capital city of Vernworth to the checkpoint town, which was far to the west. You also have to consider that ox carts are not a completely safe way to travel, as they often will be ambushed by all manners of beasts. Of course, you can just hoof it on foot, which is where you'll truly feel the weight of that distance, especially due to the new health restoration mechanic known as the Loss Gauge. In the first game, you'd be able to heal your entire life bar by using health restorative items, and recoverable gray health with spells. In Dragon's Dogma 2, however, every hit diminishes a portion of your max health, and the only ways to restore it are either by finding a campfire to rest at, or returning to an inn and resting for the night. Fortunately, if you rest at a campfire, you can also cook some meat and get some much needed buffs, in addition to restoring all of your life. But there's a risk involved with resting at a campfire as well. The flames may attract monsters to your campsite, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this preview, you could actually wake up to an angry griffin coming back to finish what it started.
It's interesting that they want you to take breaks and not just adventure
Virtually
nonstop.
every action in Dragon's Dogma 2 has some combination of a cost and a risk tied to it. Fairy stones are risk-free travel, but they come at a very steep price. Ox carts are a low-cost but moderately risky method of travel, and traveling on foot is free,
D&D,
but extremely risky.
Looks like it.
Then you must also consider whether it's worth it to press on in a questline with low max health, or backtrack to a town to resupply, whether you should avoid fighting the giant tanky ogre, or risk it all on trying to bring it down for both the experience
Man,
and
I don't know
rare
what class I
material
want to play.
reward,
They look fucking
whether
cool.
you should keep on the less dangerous beaten path, or take a detour
I
into
would
the unknown.
very much lean towards
In the 10
major
hours that I
archer,
played, these were very compelling decisions to have to make. But the real
They'll
test
look
will
fun.
be whether those decisions remain compelling or turn exhausting in hour 20 or 30 when the map has expanded dramatically and you still have quests remaining to complete in a town that you're super far away from. Hypotheticals aside though, I loved just about every moment that I spent playing Dragon's Dogma 2 during this preview window. It doubles down on everything that I loved from the first game, makes some smart improvements to the way quests are handled and how you explore its giant world, and the little taste that I got of the vocations is a tantalizing reminder of why Dragon's Dogma is one of the best in the genre when it comes to delivering on the various power fantasies tied to the
Capcom
classic
just makes action
RPG
games, huh?
archetypes. Even after all I played, I still feel like I just scratched the surface on what Capcom has in store for players when Dragon's Dogma 2
Gonna be another fucking
releases
Capcom
on
win,
March
dude.
22nd.
I'm looking at it, I already know it's gonna be good.
It's like DMC, Monster Hunter, this Street Fighter is a fighting game, but still an action, style combat.
Yeah.
Resident Evil. It's crazy.
Lost Planet Rip.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mega Man rip.
Wow. Yeah, Mega Man gets the Castlevania treatment and just gets re-released constantly.
True. All right, what we think?
I mean, it looks amazing, to be honest.
Yeah, it looks fucking awesome.
I'm a sucker for fantasy, and this is like about as fantasy as you get.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it straight up looks like a D&D campaign.
Yeah. It scares me a little because I'm sure it's not short.
Oh, no, dude.
And I can't even bring myself to beat. I have Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate, so like, it's gonna be a tough one.
And the Elden Ring expansion, I believe, comes out this year.
Yeah, I should just sit down and play the co-op with someone and get through it. So,
yeah, I when it comes to like the length of this game, I do think it's gonna be a big game, but I feel less worried about it this year because there's not as many huge games coming out this year. Although I was just talking about earlier though that I'm playing a lot of little games right now, and I feel like I'm spread too thin, and I'm still playing Baldur's Gate 3, and Stalker 2 is going to come out this year, which is another big title for me. But I
have a Final Fantasy expansion coming out this year.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot, but it doesn't feel as daunting as last year. So I'll probably feel less guilty about just playing this for a while, unless a bunch of other shit just drops at the same time. But we'll find out. But it definitely looks like it's gonna be a big game.
Oh yeah,
4 times the size of the last map is fucking crazy. Like double the size would have been. You were like, whoa, that's a lot. But because even like Spider-Man 2, they doubled the size of the map, and it's huge. But yeah, quadruple it's kind of crazy.
Except you fast travel a lot and glide everywhere. But yeah,
I don't glide, but yeah. Do a lot of swing fast, but yeah. Anyway, what were we saying?
I was just basically saying that it looks really good. I love fantasy games. It is definitely catering to basically the things I love in games. Outside of I do worry about, and just because I have a terrible memory, it not holding your hand for quest stuff too much, just because like I'm very forgetful, so I'm going to be the guy who's alt tabbing constantly looking for help getting around. But I mean, whatever. So it doesn't have to cater to me. I'm just as a concern. So but yeah, I mean, it's a must buy as far as I'm concerned. So
yeah, same. The big thing watching this is, and I said it already, but I have to reemphasize this. It looks like the first game, but better. And that's really what you want from any sequel, really. But the first game I really enjoy, and the combat was a lot of fun, but it felt super inventive in a lot of ways and kind of janky in other ways, because this was like their first outing as trying to make a game like this. And so this game has the opportunity to refine those systems, and it looks like it watching this. The combat looks similar but better. The abilities, a lot of them kind of look a lot like the ones I remember from the first game, but better. The exploration sounds better in a lot of ways. The graphics obviously are better. But just so many things from a game that already was like super like inventive, and for an action game, it's kind of hard to do, but they did a lot of really interesting things with the combat to take something like that and just refine it. I think is going to be huge. I also am going to be really curious to see how this does sales wise, because the first game has like a cult following, but I don't think it ever hit like massive acclaim from like regular people, I guess, that aren't just like super into these kind of games. So I'll be curious to see how this is received. But yeah, all the classes look really cool. I love the armor, the way they all look. I love the weapons. I really love that huge sword, but even the dual wielding thief character, which is what I played my first time playing the first game, which I kind of felt let down by in that game, looks awesome in this. So it definitely seems like they've taken the core concept of those classes and really upped the ante. We got an example of that with the warrior, whatever this class is, adding high damage but kind of like risky.
delays.
Mechanics, which I think is really cool sounding, because if you are going to be doing massive damage, there should be systems involved, and there is. I like that it has the Phantasy Star Online style like timing button thing. Also with the mage, I think it's really cool that there are systems in place to cast faster but take your stamina and then ways to get your stamina back. So you're constantly in a process of trying to remain functional in combat. And I think that really is what a caster should feel like in combat. A lot of games, you just hit a button and fire until your mana goes away. And in this, it sounds like you're trying to balance things to stay functional in the fight. So I really like that. Everything about this game fucking looks awesome. You said it right when you said it's a must buy. This is absolutely one of the most hyped games for me this year. And I'm just going to say it because I have to say it every time I see this game. I wish it had multiplayer. That's the one thing that I just wish it had. And I've had people even tell me on TikTok, like, stop asking for multiplayer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, this game is like so, it's going to be awesome single player. And you got all these pawns or whatever, but I'm like, it's just perfectly designed to have at least one friend or something play with you. It would be so fucking cool to have like one of your pawns get replaced by, somebody else's character. I'm sure there's a reason they do it this way, but I'm just like, this, you want to make like the perfect action game, like you could do it. Just add fucking co-op. But yeah, really excited for this game. Can't wait to play it. And I'm glad we got the fast travel thing straightened out, because before this I had just read that quote. I'm like, well, apparently it doesn't like fast travel. And it does kind of sound like they are trying to have a system for it. So it's not just blatant, just teleporting around, which I do kind of like. So
yeah, I mean, you're just going to effectively, quite literally pay for it.
Yeah.
To
in some way or another.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, there's a cost. Which is that middle ground I was kind of talking about. It doesn't break the immersion. You're either using a teleportation crystal, it's going to cost a bunch of money, wherever the hell the thing was, or ride a wagon, which is probably going to be just a little faster, but has risks. So it's kind of cool, especially with the system with like you're losing health over time. The longer you're out adventuring without like resting, maybe you've been fighting all day, you get in a wagon, you're already kind of like lost a bunch of health, and now you're kind of risking getting attacked again while riding this. So it'll be really interesting to see how that kind of balances out. So. But yeah, looks awesome. Can't wait to play it. Got anything else to say on it? All right, let us know in the comments what you guys think about Dragon's Dogma 2. 10 hours of gameplay. What stood out to you? What class looks the most interesting? What do you hope they've improved upon from the last game into this game? And how do you feel about the multiplayer thing? I know that's kind of a touchy subject for some people. And yeah, let me know everything you're thinking about in the comments below when it comes to Dragon's Dogma 2. All right, it's that time again where we reflect on past episodes and reply to your comments. If you want your comment to be read for sure, type in hashtag AskTLG or TLG or whatever. That way I know for sure you want to be read. Otherwise, I read at random. All right, so we did a reaction to Indiana Jones, The Great Circle, Avowed, and more for the Xbox Developer Direct 2024, which was actually a really good presentation. So check that out. If you are curious, I was really impressed with Indiana Jones. So that was nice surprise. So we got some comments, and I'll read them. So the first one we got is from Who's Your Daddy, saying Machine Games doesn't use Bethesda's creation engine. They use the id Tech engine Doom. With that being said, Indy looks amazing and love the first person perspective. It's quickly has become my most anticipated game this year. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I said exactly, Creation Engine couldn't make anything look this good. It's in my top 10 for sure. Creation Engine can't make anything look that good. id Tech makes a lot of sense. So, correct on that. And I do love the first person perspective. I've seen a lot of people say they wish it was a third person game. And somebody had come out and said that basically they didn't want to look like Uncharted or Tomb Raider, which I understand. I think if you are going to make a game within that genre that is inspired by Indiana Jones in the first place, there's nothing wrong with bringing something new to the perspective to the table. I do think it's exciting, especially on such a good-looking engine as id Tech, to do first person. I think the whip action, the punching looked really fun in first person, and also Machine Games has been making first-person shooters really well for a while now. So why wouldn't they want to, bring it to a first-person perspective where they're used to making games? So yeah, I get why they did it. I think it looks cool. And for the people who want to see Indiana Jones while they play, in the video we watched, it showed that in certain points you do see your character.
Cutscene moments and stuff.
Yeah, but even like when he's climbing stuff, 1 to 3rd person. So there's scenes where you see your guy. So
no, it's a good way to handle. I mean, like even Cyberpunk, a lot of people wanted that to be 3rd person.
Although I see my character a lot in that game.
Yeah, and I think there's a way to do it where you still, because like I understand the idea of like, and this isn't Indiana Jones obviously, but creating a character and then not seeing him, right? That's kind of weird, but
yeah, for sure.
But in this, we know what Indiana Jones looks like, so I wouldn't be like too worried about it even if we didn't. And it was nice of them to even consider it. So
yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah, otherwise, pretty familiar with the in-tech stuff. I'm sure it'll play great. So
yeah. All right, thank you for the comment. All right, then we got one from Pedro Sales 4096 saying indie in first person is the way to go, make unique in that genre. I agree. We just said that. I want to say, this game looks like Indiana Jones, not the Indiana Jones game looks like Tomb Raider, which is what they kind of brought up. I don't know who the hell said that, but I remember reading that and I was like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think it was an interview with the devs, but it's interesting because Tomb Raider is obviously inspired by Indiana Jones, and Uncharted is literally inspired by Indiana Jones. So much so that when Uncharted 2 came out, I forgot who said it, but they said basically they're handing the Indiana Jones hat off to Nathan Drake, kind of saying that Nathan Drake is the successor to Indiana Jones. And those games are fantastic. And to even bring Indiana Jones into that genre has a lot kind of stacked up against it, because there's already great games in there, but bring its own flair to it, doing its own thing, I think is really important. Like, because it's funny, people are like, I want the 3rd person perspective, but then if they did that, I guarantee you'd have all these people going like, oh, it's a ripoff. Like, you can't make everybody happy, but I do think what they're doing here is smart. I think it looks good. I also, to be honest, when we first watched the trailer, I didn't think about Uncharted or Tomb Raider at all.
Yeah, it didn't cross my mind.
And then when people brought it up, I'm like, yeah, you're right. It is a similar genre, but I never thought about it because in first person, it just looked like another machine games game to me. And so that wasn't my first thought. But once that conversation kind of grew, I was like, yeah, I get all that. So I think the first person was the right move for many reasons that I kind of went over already, but it would have definitely got the comparisons for sure. So I think this makes it safe against that.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the comment. Next one is Grumpy Gizmo 7199 saying, no offense, guys, but in my opinion, Todd Howard has created some of the most iconic and beloved games ever. I get his stubbornness with the creation engine is not pleasant, but the disrespect towards the man is unnecessary most of the time. I've seen a couple of people claiming that like the game presented, but I wish this guy wasn't there. Oh, because he was in the background in there. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Are we aware this game is in big part his creation? Just saying, lol. Yeah, and I actually appreciate what you're bringing to the table in terms of like the perspective on Todd Howard, and you didn't say this with like being a dick either, which I also appreciate, because a lot of times if somebody were to tell us like, hey, don't talk about Todd Howard that way, they would be more of an asshole. You literally said no offense, so I appreciate that. And I have a love-hate relationship with Todd Howard that it's not really hate, but like I'm just kind of tired of the meme of Todd Howard at this point, but I do still have a lot of respect for him because of a lot of stuff they did early on with Bethesda. And I do think he does actually want to create great games, but he's also in that position too, where like he has to produce stuff that sells with how big Bethesda has become. So I appreciate your perspective. I do, rib Todd Howard quite a bit, but I don't necessarily think he's like a piece of shit or anything like that. I think my frustration is mostly just with what Bethesda has been putting out. The creation engine, which you bring up, is something I always bring up. Is it's tired. Like, make a new engine or use a different engine, whatever. Because I miss the revolutionary huge things that Bethesda used to release, and now it's just like it's this slow decaying decline of the product, that so much so fans of Bethesda are complaining about Starfield more than I am. Like, I said that the game was like fine, and I had people talking shit to me because I said it's fine. I'm like, whoa, I'm not like a big fan of it, and they're like, I can't believe you even think it's fine. I'm like, whoa. So it's kind of crazy.
They love me.
But yeah, so I understand your perspective, and I think it's a fair perspective for sure, because he has done some great things. And if this game does come out, it's really good, the Indiana Jones game, even though he didn't make it and Bethesda's not making it, Machine Games is, he's played a huge part in getting the ball rolling. Because I remember when this game was first even talked about, before it was ever even announced as an official game, he said he wanted to make an Indiana Jones game. And when I heard that, I was like a Bethesda Indiana Jones game on the creation engine, I don't know if I want that. But now the game's coming out, it looks really good in my opinion, and it has been a pursuit of his for a long time, so he does deserve credit for that, and I do agree with that. So I think it's a very, very fair perspective.
I mean, I would also say thank you for just expressing an opinion. That is always welcome. I will also like to say, if you've watched, I don't know if you just dropped by and caught an episode, or if you watch this regularly. If you watch regularly, you know that, like, for me personally, we talk about a lot of games that I don't care about. Like, I don't play the same wealth of games like Seth does, for example. I have more of a focused in game style I like a lot of times. That being said, doesn't mean I can't look at something and appreciate it. I recognize and completely understand that Bethesda with Todd Howard have made a lot of games that people love across the board, and I'm in the minority. And that's totally fine. I'm not trying to agree with people. I'm not trying to fight people on what they love and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But when I express my opinions on not caring or liking this stuff, and that's exactly what it is. It's my opinions. I mean, who am I? I'm just some random dude on the internet, right? Who cares what I have to say? If you do, awesome. I'm glad you're here and you want to listen or even participate in the conversation like you have. That's awesome. That being said, I don't have any actual issues with Todd Howard or Bethesda in general. I just, I guess, my humor or a lot of times, specifically in that reaction, when we were talking about that, a lot of that was jokingly, with Todd Howard being constantly in the video. That was not serious. So
I think he's also talking in a more general sense too to people who do criticize Todd Howard and just bring it up because we had ribbed him a little bit.
Sure. I got no hate to Todd Howard. I got no hate to Bethesda. I can't actually think of a game they've made that I would say I love.
I love Morrowind.
I think they've made games I have enjoyed, and I played it and I'm done. Like, that's it. But I don't play a lot of the type of games that they make anyways. I don't play a lot of open world Western RPGs. They're not my style most of the time. There are exceptions, obviously. So
Fallout 3 was good too.
I enjoyed it for what it was worth, but I didn't beat it and I wouldn't revisit it. So I mean, that's just where I am on it versus like even Cyberpunk, right? I like Cyberpunk quite a bit. I didn't beat it. It's gonna be hard pressed to revisit it. Like, it's nothing against the game. It's just not my style. So
Todd Howard also has the unique. He's the face of Bethesda, just like Neil Druckmann is the face of Naughty Dog. And so when you're loving it, that face is a good face, but when you're not liking it, that's a bad face. And so I'm not nearly as extreme as a lot of people where, like, you see that face and you're upset with Bethesda and all of a sudden you're talking shit about the dude. Like, oh, he sucks. I hope he, something bad happens to him. Neil Druckmann got a lot of that.
I don't think that's a good thing to ever say. But
sure. But it happens, and it's
Sure.
because they become kind of the mascot of their own company.
Yeah.
And so Todd Howard does get a lot of flack, especially because, even the memes that they embrace of like Skyrim's on a calculator now. When you think about Skyrim being released over and over and over again, you think about Bethesda's choosing to do that, but who at Bethesda's choosing to do that and who's talking about it constantly? Todd Howard. And so he has a relationship with our response as consumers to Bethesda. And so if there is a joke to be made towards Bethesda, complaint to be made towards Bethesda, it's going to get equally sent to Todd Howard. And when Todd Howard shows up in a Machine Games video for a game that he's a part of, you're seeing Bethesda. Bethesda's in the background. Uh-oh, I'm not happy with the last 3 games Bethesda put out. Why is he here? And so, yeah, it's kind of just a thing that happens. So unfairly in some ways, because like I said, a lot of that, just like when I talked to Dean Takahashi back years ago,
Who still gets mentioned all the time. It's wild.
mentioned.
The Cuphead thing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Always.
But my point is, when I was talking about game journalism and people being upset with it and the specific people, it's because the whole industry has upset people. And so they're looking for basically someplace to leave the complaints at.
Yeah.
That's going to manifest with specific journalists who are speaking up the most. And, some of them kind of deserve it, but not like the death threats or violent threats or whatever, or even talking directly shit to them, but they are going to get it because people are dissatisfied with what gaming journalism's doing, and have been for years. So yeah, Bethesda does anything that has criticism, it's going to be directly related to Todd Howard, no matter where he's at and what he's doing. So that is unfair, but there's a reason for it. So
Yeah.
yep. No disrespect though, just having fun. And yeah, I think this game looks really good, and he definitely is a reason why it's being made. So, anything else? All right, last comment we got is from Ray McDougal 420 saying Xbox Game Pass user are eating good. Eating good indeed, especially because
that user is doing a lot of eating.
Yeah, true. Especially with Xbox prioritizing all their things being day one on Game Pass. It's I don't know if it's good for business, but it's great for Game Pass. So yeah, definitely eating good. All right. Anything else you want to say, Chevy?
No.
All right. Thank you everybody who commented. Thank you everybody who watched. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me, Chevy. And it's been a good one. I've been Seth. Have a good one, guys, and take it easy.